Hi, I'm Crystal, and I'm back with the final installment for my Junk Journal July, starting with prompt 24, which is ephemeral. And so for the prompt ephemeral, of course, my mind went to pets. And the other thing I think about when I think about pets is, of course, how much mess they drag into the house. So I thought that was perfect for a tea-dyed base page. I also did some heart tags with some pet paws on them to match the lavender because, of course, spring flowers are also ephemeral. Then I have this great dog die cut and this collage tag. I made the tag as part of Come Collage With Us, which is hosted by Alma Tyser and Maniac Grammy's Homestead. I will link to their channels in the description box below. There's a monthly prompt, and July is nature. The August prompt should be coming up pretty soon. I'm looking forward to that. And then I used, of course, some pet-themed washi tape and buttons that are from Tim Holtz. So, unfortunately, pets are all too ephemeral. I wish their lives were longer. Need to enjoy these puppy years while we're having them. Going on to the next prompt is shade, and I attempted an acrylic painting of the oak tree that is in our backyard. Of course, that's what my mind springs to when I think about shade. And after I had done that, I found this photo from Fredericksburg of spring wildflowers and oak trees, and they kind of merged right into my painting. If I'd found the photo first, I would have painted some lavender under my tree. But I thought those went well together. The next prompt is poetic, and I have to say I really struggled with that one, so the best I could do was an aphorism or a saying. But it's my journal, so I'll journal how I want. And my saying is the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. And I think that applies to a lot of things in life. Even if you didn't start in the past, it's a good time to start now. And so that applies to retirement planning as well. If you want some good advice on saving for retirement in your 50s and beyond, I've linked to a great article in the description box about good ways to do that. But just remember that everything is possible no matter when you start. And I've got this tag that is a great picture of throwing the work folder into the trash. I thought that was perfect as I'm planning my retirement years. So there's my shade and poetic prompt. And there's also a link in the description box about visiting Fredericksburg. It's a great vacation destination if you have not been. The next prompt is buttons. And the buttons I chose were the buttons that volunteers wear. I'm thinking about picking a good volunteer gig for my retirement years. I spent 25 years as a volunteer with volunteer income tax assistance and tax counseling for the elderly, and I just had reached the end of my interest in that after 25 years. There are great programs, whether you're looking for a spot to volunteer or if you're looking for free tax help. There is extensive training and testing of those volunteers, so I will link to those as well in the description box in case that's something that interests you on either side of the table. The contrast to that, because that is the next prompt, contrast, is nothing. I think it would be way too easy for me to do too much nothing, sit on my fundament in retirement, and I think that would make me unhappy. So I need to keep in mind that there can be too much nothing, and that is why I'm using this art journaling to make some plans. I just think that having some plans will help me transition successfully, and that is very much the goal. So the last two prompts are shine and celebrate, and I'm already starting on some of my action items. So road trip was one of my early pages, and I've already written away for some travel information. This is a picture from a tourist brochure from West Virginia, and it certainly is lovely with a beautiful photo of the shining sun. I'm looking forward to being in the sun and not in my windowless metal box of an office. I believe this is a picture of Cooper's Rock, and it certainly looks attractive, so I hope I get a chance to see that one in person. And then finally, celebrate. So I just need to remember to celebrate. I certainly have made some sacrifices along the way to get here. There was one year that I remember in particular, a family member needed some money, and that year they took 2 international trips, and we vacationed on the free ferry that goes between Galveston and Bolivar. So, I did those things for a reason. I made those sacrifices for a reason, and so I need to remember to celebrate. now that I'm crossing that finish line. I am looking forward to it, and this month has really helped me solidify some plans, so I think I've got less trepidation about making this change. So it's been a useful practice for me, and I thank you for joining me on this journey.